topic elasticity of demand. So this exceptions to the law of demand was, in fact, this was discussed in the last class. I'll finish it quickly. So I request you all to please stop me when you do not understand any concept in this. I'll explain it again. Okay, but what I want you people is please immediately absorb the concepts right now in the class, so that when you are revising this, it will be much easier for you to remember. So as we discussed earlier, the law of demand, as it says, as price increases, demand for a good decreases. It means there is an inverse relationship. The curve, the normal curve for according to the law of demand is downward sloping, as we have seen here. Okay, so this is true in all the cases where the law of demand holds valid, and the law of demand holds valid when these assumptions are fulfilled. Though these assumptions are not practically fulfilled in the present scenario where there is a highly dynamic environment, but still the law of demand says it is applicable only when all these assumptions are applicable. Any assumption does not hold true, then the law of demand is not applicable in that particular situation. Okay, we're only studying these basic concepts. So for time being, understand that all these assumptions are existing, then the law of demand is applicable. So according to the law of demand, the demand curve is downward sloping or a negative curve. Then when it comes to limitations, so as the law of demand has got a downward curve or a negative slope, then in the exceptional cases, what will be the curve? This will be the curve for the exceptional goods or products, or exceptional any product, exceptional product. The demand curve will be opposite, that is positive curve or upward sloping, right? So what does this mean? The price and quantity demanded, QD, are positively related. The price increases, the quantity demanded also increases. The price decreases, the quantity demanded also may decrease. So this is how the exceptional cases of under the law of demand have their graph: upward curve, upward slope, or a positive curve. Okay,
I want attendance 30.
where are you? Hello. Okay, we'll proceed now. Then, so what are the exceptions? We'll just have a look at this. Okay, so defense goods or inferior goods, right? So defense goods are inferior, simply to say, see, what is a staple food of rural people who belong to rural background or an average income consumer? The staple food may be like what is that, bajra, or something which is uh, available at a reasonable, at a cheaper price, and it gives us some good value of food. Okay, so those goods are treated or understood as inferior goods. Those goods are understood as inferior goods here. So remember, inferior doesn't mean that the quality is inferior, remember. So inferior goods are nothing but those which are a staple food of average consumers, which are available at a lesser price. Okay, so look, just listen to the strange exception now. This concept was developed by this person, Giffen. So we call this exception also as Giffen's paradox, or Giffen's goods or inferior goods. Simply to say, now let us assume a consumer is regularly consuming bajra or a staple food in his particular locality. At some place, maize may be the staple food. At some place, bajra will be the staple food. Staple food means where an average consumer buys it, which is available at a lesser price, and it is a staple food of that particular region. Then, when the price of this staple food decreases, what should usually happen according to the law of demand? When the price decreases, the demand for a good should increase. Quantity demanded should increase. But what an average consumer does in this case, so listen carefully. Now, as let us assume my staple food, what I'm consuming is maize. Okay, because my income is average, very low or an average income, I'm consuming maize as it is available at a lesser price and it's a good, it is a nutritious food. Then, when the price of maize decreases, so accordingly, what should happen according to the law of demand? The quantity demanded should increase, right? But what an average consumer like me does is, see, because I'm consuming maize regularly, when the price of maize decreases, what I tend to do is, rather than purchasing maize in extra quantities, what I do is, now I have got an option. What is that option? Because the price of maize has come down, I can buy less of it. And for example, I'm allocating 5,000 rupees every month to purchase maize. Okay, this time the price of maize has come down. Okay, so what I do now, rather than buying more maize of 5,000 rupees, okay, what I do is I will reduce the consumption of maize. Say I will only purchase maize of 3,500 rupees. Then the remaining 1,500 rupees, whatever I have allocated to buy maize, what is assumed here is, by buying less quantity of maize, my income is assumed as it is increased now. Simply to say, I will buy less quantity of maize and use the remaining 1,500 rupees, whatever I have allocated to buy maize. I'll allocate this 1,500 rupees to consume some other good which I rarely consume. Like maybe it could be like some good quality food like chicken or fish or some food item. It means, what does a consumer really try to do? He will spend, if you remember equimarginal principle concept. Equimarginal principle concept says a consumer will try to uh, a consumer will invest his income, he will spend his income in such a way that he will attain maximum satisfaction. Okay, now as the price of maize has come down, if I buy more and more maize with the same 5,000 rupees, you know what is happening? If you consume more and more goods, the same quantity, the same quality of goods, your marginal utility, if you remember, slow by slow, your marginal utility will come down. So even because of that effect, what does an average consumer do here? Instead of buying more of the quantity, I will buy less of the quantity, and whatever money is saved by buying less of maize, that money I will spend on buying some other superior product, so that my utility is maximized. Okay, so those examples are called as given goods or inferior goods. So under, for such goods, this will be what? Okay, though the price of maize is coming down, what I'm doing now, I'm buying less of this. Okay, I'm buying less of this and then trying to,
Sir,
yes.
sir, here we are not buying less amount. Just we are as price of the good decrease, we are giving less money to buy the same quantity of food which we consume in daily. So the quantity of good is not increased or decreased, but the money which we are allocating for the good is decreased.
See, it can be assumed as either the quantity you're reducing or even the quantity is remaining same. whatever it is not following the law of demand. If you look at it, see, what does the law of demand say? The price decreases, quantity you're purchasing should increase. But in this case, you can assume in both ways. As you said, that we're not buying additional quantity, or you can also buy lesser quantity. Why lesser quantity? Because you see, you are regularly purchasing maize. So what you do this time, by purchasing less of maize, still you are trying to save additional money, and this money you can spend on some other superior product like non-vegetarian food or some other thing. As I said, see, in both ways you can assume that you are buying less of it, as I said, or you are buying the same quantity rather than increasing the quantity what you're buying. Was I clear? See, whatever the
Yes,
case is, whatever the case is, the law of demand is not being applicable here. Am I right?
yes, sir.
Yes, you can, but try to say, most probably try to say that you're buying less of the quantity. See why? Because now you have got an opportunity to buy some other superior product. Then what you do? See, agar same. Let us assume for this you're buying 10 kgs, 5,000 rupees ki 10 kgs purchase చేసాము అనుకుందాం. Okay. Now, according to your assumption, if we buy the same 10 kgs, okay, then how do you consume the other superior good, whatever you are purchasing? Because your ration limit is only 10 kgs per month. Just assume it.
Yes, sir,
Okay.
exactly. I got
Yes.
it now.
So what can we say is we buy less of the product, and whatever income is saved because of that, we will invest or we will spend that income in some other superior product. Okay. Then another exception is Veblen goods. Veblen goods, these are also called as luxury goods. Okay, so uh, the price of gold and the price of luxury goods like jewels, okay, luxury cars, even though they increase, even though the price of such luxury items increases, so what happens with that to that products? The demand still increases. You know why? Because it is a symbol of status to certain category of people. So according to the law of demand, the price should, when the price increases, the demand should come down. But still, people feel it as more prestigious. Okay, there is a time in in year, one day in a year, where the price of gold is very high, but still people buy it. So what does it mean? You buy on that day, maybe it is auspicious or it is prestigious to your status. So under such, for such goods, even the law of demand does not hold good, and it is a positive slope. Even the opposite side, even the other side, it is given here. For example, if the price of some goods like diamonds, if the price of diamond comes down, right? Even the poor people or those who cannot afford diamonds will also start buying now. But what does the rich do now? What does the rich do? They stop buying, because now it is no more a symbol of status, because everyone is buying that. Because everyone is buying that, the demand for these goods will come down. But however, others will be buying that. It means for such luxury goods, even this law of demand does not hold good. This concept was explained by Veblen. So we call it as Veblen goods or luxury goods. And demonstration effect is a theory. I told you already. It means it is a kind of behavior of an individual based on looking upon the behavior of others. I gave an example earlier. So you visit a store to consume something, right? But you see someone, they're buying some other product. Then you feel like, why don't I try it? Then you try that product. Then what is happening here? Even though the price has come down because of this demonstration effect or because of this prestigious issues also, you will not buy that. You may buy some other thing. Okay. So if this demonstration effect is really confusing, just understand Veblen goods or luxury goods, where the goods symbolize a status or prestige. Under for such goods, the law of demand does not hold true or valid. Then ignorance. Ignorance means sometimes we think that, see, even most of the times we think that the product is superior if the price is high, right? Most of the times we think, even I do think this. So under such circumstances, even the law of demand is not valid. Okay, they buy more even at a higher price. Then speculative. Okay, if the price of commodity is increasing, the consumers will buy more of it because of the fear that it will still increase further. A very good example of agricultural products is groceries like onion, what we purchased, right? So during rainy season, even though the price goes on increasing, we still buy more and more and store it. For what purpose? We speculate, we predict that maybe in future the price still will go higher, so let us buy now itself. So even in such cases, law of demand does not hold true. Fear of shortage, right? So we might have experienced this in the beginning of March, April, right? So we have feared a lot of shortage of goods because of some reasons. Then we still buy more and more products, okay, even though the price increases. Under such circumstances, the law of demand is not again valid. So you can see here many dynamic changes, right? All assumptions are not valid here because these are exceptional cases. Necessities. In case of necessities like rice, vegetables, and other goods, right, which are very much required for you, we still buy them even the prices are increased. Okay, so these are few exceptions of the law of demand. Fine. Now comes the next topic. So please listen carefully. This topic is very simple, but let us listen to this. Elasticity of demand. So the term itself indicates how the quantity demanded of a good is responding to a change in one of the factors. I'll repeat it again. See, elasticity of demand means, generally people tend to define elasticity of demand as, see, you know what is elasticity? Elasticity is the property of a substance. Its response to some external factor, right? So when you put pressure on a rubber band, right? You're putting pressure is an external factor. So and the rubber band is responding. It is increasing or contracting, whatever it is. So this kind of property of the quantity demanded when an external factor, or you can simply say when factors influencing demand. If you remember, I'll just take you back to that slide. Okay, these are the factors. Okay, any one of these factors, okay, na? Any one of these factors, if they are changed, right? Let us simply say price. If price is decreased by 1 rupee, how the quantity demanded of a unit has changed, has responded, has changed to 1 rupee decrease or increase in the price of a unit. This study is called as elasticity of demand. So in this example or in this discussion, you can replace price with any of those factors which which I displayed before. It could be income of the consumer, means if the income of the consumer increased, then how the quantity demanded has changed. My income increased, then how is the quantity demanded of a good from my side has changed or has responded. Okay, then advertisements and promotions. Because of doing advertising and promotion in a particular region, how, to what percentage the quantity demanded of a good has changed, to what percent it has responded. That concept is elasticity of demand. So you can explain or study this elasticity of demand comparing with all factors of all factors influencing demand. Okay, price of the product, income of the consumer, okay, related price of related goods, advertisement expenses, okay, government regulations and policies, technology. You can study, assess such many factors and compare how the quantity demanded has been changing. But to make it easy, we shall restrict our discussion only to three factors. So even in our syllabus, only three factors are discussed in the elasticity of demand. What are those three factors? Elasticity of demand with a change in price, because it is a basic factor. Then elasticity of demand with a change in income. And the third one, elasticity of demand of related products. Okay, so what are related products? Can anyone say what are called as related products? Let us check our activity, how active we were. What are called as related goods? Is roll number 32 still rowing the boat? I think he put us in mute and he's still rowing the boat. Yes, could anyone say this? What are related goods? There are two types of related goods. I gave a clue. What are those? What are the related goods? See, it's not. Maybe few know this. You're not responding at least. Do you remember substitutes and complementary goods? I discussed this with a very good definition. I even asked someone to say this also in the very beginning. Okay, anyhow, as we proceed, we'll discuss that. I'm sorry, the screen is stuck. I'll anyhow get it again. Just wait a second. Increase in price of one good, increase the demand in other. They are called substitutes like tea and coffee. Okay, good. Kirtana, roll number 5. Just hold on a second, please. The screen is not moving. Yes. So, though there are many factors which will influence the demand, quantity demanded of a product. So please try to follow the words what I'm using, and even you try to use these words in your definitions. Okay. So though there are a number of factors which influence the quantity demanded of a product, our discussion will be restricted only to three factors. Okay. One is price elasticity of demand. Okay. Second, income elasticity of demand. And the third one, cross elasticity of demand. Okay, cross elasticity means, so because of a change in the price of one commodity leads to a change in the quantity demanded of another product, or you can say related good. So this is called as cross elasticity of demand. So why is it called as cross? Because change in price of one good is affecting the quantity demanded of its related good, so another good. Okay, so we call it as cross elasticity of demand. So there are two types of related products, substitutes and complementary goods. Okay, so that we shall discuss today. Okay, so as I said, what is elasticity of demand? It is simply the proportionate change. So please try to follow it now. Proportionate change in quantity demanded of a good to the proportionate change in the price of that particular good. Simply to say, whatever change in price has occurred, whether increasing or decreasing, how the quantity demanded of the good has responded, how it has changed. This study is called as elasticity of demand. Okay, so in general, the elasticity of demand may be elastic. Elastic means a small change in price will lead to a great change in quantity demanded. The other one, inelastic. So how much ever there is a big change in price, so you're applying a small force, a small change in price, it is affecting the demand to a great extent. That is called as highly elastic. So elastic demand. Even though you are changing price to very greater extent, its demand is not so affected, not so much affected. Such condition is called as inelastic. It is not so elastic, it is not so flexible. Even though you are trying to reduce the price to a great extent, the demand is not increased proportionately. Such situation is called as inelastic demand. Proportionately means you decrease price by 1 unit, okay, the demand also should increase proportionately, maybe by 1 unit or whatever it is, proportionately. It means if you're decreasing price by 1%, the demand should increase by 1% also. That is called as proportionate increasing demand. In case of elastic demand, okay, the demand is more than proportionate. Inelastic demand, the elasticity of demand is less than proportionate. Even though you are decreasing price by 1%, the quantity demanded of a good is not increasing by 1%. In fact, less than 1%. I hope it's clear. Okay, so this is only introduction. Okay, elastic demand and inelastic demand. I'll anyhow show you in the next slide. So types of elasticity of demand. Price elasticity, it means a change in price. Because of a change in price, how the quantity demanded of a good is affected. That is price elasticity of demand. Okay, so simple terms. Proportionate change in the quantity demanded of a good to or by divided by proportionate change in the price of the commodity. That's it. Okay, so you do this, and even in the definition it is the same thing. Okay, you calculate this, you will get the elasticity, the price elasticity of demand value. Okay, then income elasticity of demand. So it is the same thing. Proportionate change in quantity demanded of a commodity to proportionate change in income of the consumer, not price here, income of the consumer. That is income elasticity of demand. So now can someone explain what is cross elasticity of demand? Just like this definition, right? So you want to test somebody's attention, call a name, except Raghu, not Raghu every time. You want to test someone's attention to the class, just call a name. See, call someone's name. Who is that? Say clear.
Shanmukh.
Shanmukh,
Vinod.
Mr. Shanmukh.
Sir,
Vinod.
yes, sir.
Is Shanmukh roll? He's not roll number 32 now because 32 is rowing boat somewhere.
Sir.
Shanmukh, you're
Yes,
not
sir.
roll number 32 no?
Yes, sir. I'm not roll number 32. I'm 47.
Okay, good. I can ask him. Chalo. Now, based on these two discussions we have just done, okay, I think Shanmukh is really listening. So someone has said, okay, Shanmukh, you can say now. We know what is price elasticity of demand. We know what is income elasticity of demand. We have discussed it. Can you define similarly what is cross elasticity of demand? Okay. Can you define price elasticity of demand now? Try it. Just make a try.
I mean, the cross elasticity of demand is an economic concept that measures the responsiveness in the quantity demanded of one good when the price for another good changes.
Very good. But you can see a definition here, right? You can see a formula thing like here on the screen. Okay.
Sir.
Price elasticity ఏమన్నాము proportionate change in the quantity demanded of commodity divided by proportionate change in the price of the commodity. This is for price elasticity. Income elasticity, the same thing. Then can you say the same thing for cross elasticity of demand? Just only this equation I want. Just say it as I said now. Just make a try. Related products, right? Cross elasticity and related products.
It's a change in quantity demanded for a product and then change in product for the price of product B. Change in quantity demanded for product and divided by change in price for product B.
Whose product?
For the another product, sir.
Okay. But you are able to see something on the screen. Why are you so in a hurry? Read as it is. Just try to replace few words in cross elasticity of demand. Proportionate change in the quantity demanded of a commodity to proportionate change in the price of related product. Related product.
Price of related product.
For our convenience, we call it a related product. It could be a substitute or it could be complementary good. Okay,
sir. Okay, sir.
That is how we just understand. You can see here. So here in the equation they said X and Y because they are not similar goods, they are related goods. Okay, so this is cross elasticity of demand. Proportionate change in the quantity demanded of good to proportionate change in price of its related good, or commodity X to commodity Y. Okay, so substitutes, two types of related goods, substitutes and complementary goods. Shanmukh, you can be free now. I'm not asking you anything. Okay, yes, feel free. Then,
okay, sir.
Substitutes and complementary goods. So why in case of substitutes the curve is a positive curve? So shall we call somebody's name again?
Aditya, sir. Aditya Kulkarni. He's good at this.
Very good. Mr. Aditya Kulkarni. I think it's Shanmukh's voice.
Sir.
Aditya.
Sir.
Yes. So why is the curve positive in case of substitutes? Is it positive curve kada ikkada unnadi?
Yes, sir.
Why is it positive curve in case of substitutes?
Come on, Aditya.
So were you the person who called Shanmukh before?
Because when the cross, it is a cross elasticity, sir. That's why. That's why it is positive graphs.
నువ్వు నాకు దొరకాలి కాలేజీలో నీ పని చెప్తాను. See, so at least listen at least sometimes you have to go out of the class, not sometimes you come into the class. Okay, sometimes you can just deviate your mind, not all the time, right? So listen, substitutes, because the price of one good, when it increases, the quantity demanded of its related good also increases. They both are positively correlated. So the curve will be a positive one or an upward slope. Okay. So if the price of coffee
Yes, sir.
increases, then what happens? People stop buying average consumers. Okay. Don't just think if you're so rich, I just buy coffee. No, on average. Okay. If the price of coffee increases, then people stop buying coffee and buy more of tea. So what is happening here? Price of coffee is increasing. At the same time, the quantity demanded of tea is increasing. So they both are positively related. Then when a graph is plotted, this is what it gives. Okay, so these are substitutes. The complement is opposite one, complementary goods, complements. Okay, so when the price of automobiles come down, when the price of automobiles comes down, the quantity demanded for fuel increases, because they purchase more of fuel and use it to in their automobiles. Okay, so what is happening here? The price of one good is coming down, but at the same time, the quantity demanded of its related good, complementary, automobiles and fuel, they both are complementing each other. So we call them as complementary goods. Okay, so how is the relationship between them? Negative. Price of one good decreases, then the price related to the quantity demanded of its related good increases, right? So let us assume in case of bread and butter, usually a foreigner example here, usually the price of butter is not so affordable, right? Then if the price of butter comes down, then what happens? Then people start buying butter at the same time, or they start buying more and more amount of bread, because they can apply this butter to their bread and consume it. So that is how goods are said to be complementary related goods. For complementary goods, the curve is a downward slope or a negative curve. Remember this. Okay, so I think we can meanwhile just give some time for others to present. Okay, so others can start. I think one group is left with presentation. Okay, yes, no issues for me now. Yes, is the
Sir,
group
can
ready
you
to
start?
Yes, madam, you can start. After your presentation, if time is still left, I can go with my class, okay? So remember, all of you have just discussed the types of elasticity, price, income, and cross elasticity. Yes, I'll stop sharing. You can start your presentation.